Welcome to Assembly Calendar. I'm Ted Flint. With us today, Assemblyman Burling, who serves the 147th Assembly District, which encompasses 4 counties, all of Wyoming, parts of Livingston, Allegheny, and Genesee. Dan, nice to have you. Sporting a different look. Back from the trip to Colorado to nail some elk.
Yeah, we went out to Colorado. This is the 3rd time I've been to Colorado. We got back last Thursday. Unfortunately, we did not. We saw some cows, but no bulls. Saw a lot of mule deer. This was a rifle hunt. It was the 2nd rifle season. Every other time I've been out with a muzzle loader. Matter of fact, about 2 years ago, I got a really nice, I was showing you a picture earlier, nice big 5x5 bull elk, big 5x5.
You figure that goes anywhere from 600 to 800 pounds.
600 to 800 pounds. Colorado, during the muzzle loader season, allows you to hunt with the muzzle loader, but it can't be sabot rounds. It has to be loose powder and no scopes. So I was a little fortunate. I shot this elk at 105 yards right in the neck. And he went down. It was a nice clean shot, and we walked up looking for the animal, and I thought I'd shot him behind this big pine tree. So we walked up about 80 yards, nothing there. I started looking around, and I said to the guide, I said, "You sure you saw him go down?" He says, "Yeah." So he took the spotting scope and he spotted on. He says, "Oh, heck," he says, "we're only at 80 yards. He says, "You shot him at 105, which is, that's a pretty good distance."
That is. How much drop do you? Go ahead.
Well, I sighted my muzzleloader in at 100 yards, and I always sight them in about an inch high, depending. I mean, my rifle, I sighted that in. I took a 300 Weatherby mag out with me, shooting 180 grain bullets out to Colorado for the rifle. That I had sighted in at 2 to 2.5 inches high, because I could have got a shot maybe 400 yards. And at 400 yards, it would have held a little high, but anywhere from 100 to 300, you pretty much hold right on.
Really?
So this was sighted in about an inch high, and I did catch him a little high, but it broke his neck, and the animal went down in his tracks. So it was pretty exciting. 9:45 in the morning. First thing I did is, of course, we took some pictures. I took a cigar out and sat there and had a nice cigar. Up in the mountains, it was great.
Celebrate the victory. Sure, that's good.
So I don't know if people figured it out. We're not going to talk about politics today, folks.
We're going to stay off the politics and the policy and all that.
We're going to talk about hunting and some of the neat things that I like to do and many of the people like to do back in my district. The little girl who works for me, of course, I have a pharmacy, and she came into work and she says, November is no shave month, and that's could be pretty much the way it is back in my district.
Yeah, sure.
Hunting's big. Of course, I passed the rifle bill this year.
Let's talk about the rifle bill.
Yeah, it took 2 years to do that for Wyoming County. Actually, I had the bill 4 or 5 years ago that passed the rifle bill for Allegheny County too. But this year, Pat Galvin, the new senator, replaced Del Volker, and I got together. Last year I passed it in my house, but they couldn't get it passed in the Senate. So I passed it again in my house, and we got it. I told Pat when he came on, the new senator, I said, your first priority, I said, is to get that rifle bill passed for Wyoming County. And so we got it passed, and people are going to be able to hunt with rifle. And I'll just use this opportunity just to advise people a little bit about, hunting with a rifle. I hunted a lot in Pennsylvania with a rifle. You can hunt deer or bear in Wyoming County with any center fire, which means you could use a 22 Hornet or a 22 250. Obviously, you don't want to use that. Anything from like a 243 up to a 30-06 would be a good gun. I prefer to hunt with a 270, which is kind of in between. It doesn't kick a lot. You won't flinch with it. I shoot a 140 to 150 grain bullet. It's pretty flat. You can kill kill out to 300 yards with it. Probably won't see shots that long. But what the rifle is going to do for folks, and I know there's a little bit of resistance out there to it, but I think with a rifle and a scope, you're going to get cleaner kills, and you're not going to see the people spraying the bullets. And we're getting more and more bear around too. So there's a possibility bear is open south of Route 20 in Wyoming County.
Yeah, a lot of bear out there?
I wouldn't say there's a lot of bear, but there's enough bear where they've opened the season up where we can hunt for them. Now I will tell you this, just over in Livingston County, over in Nunday, a few years ago they killed a 700-pound black bear. Now that's a monster black bear. That's a big black bear.
Female?
So Male, I'm sure it was a
Male.
big male, but they're around. I mean,
Yeah.
they're around. I've seen on my land. I've got land down in Weathersfield, and I've seen bear sign down there. So
Yeah.
I think it's kind of exciting. I've seen a lot of bear in Pennsylvania. When I was in Colorado, I saw a beautiful big cinnamon bear, huge big cinnamon bear. It was so big his belly was dragging on the ground.
Really?
And we jumped the bear. Probably was only about 15 feet from us. But just a beautiful big old bear.
They're incredible.
So it was a great trip.
How long were you out there for?
I went out on last Thursday, not last Thursday, it's Thursday before last, and came back on Thursday. Interesting thing is I flew into Denver. Out of Denver, we got one of those little puddle jumpers. You know, a lot of people know I'm a pilot too. But it was just, maybe a 12 passenger airplane, 2 pilots up front. But I sat next to this fella, and we got talking about hunting. He was going into Cortez in southwestern Colorado, which is in the San Juan Mountains. It's a national forest reserve. And we got shooting the breeze, and about hunting, and he was going to go hunt mule deer with his group that was behind us in the airplane. I got off, and my old guide from 2 years ago, nice young man, he picked me up at the airport, and took me up to the camp. So coming back, I walk in the small terminal at Cortez, and here's the same fellow again. Hey, how you doing? How'd you guys do? Well, we were hunting for mule deer, and they didn't get any mule deer. And I look sitting next to him. Here's Jim Kelly, the former quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. Of course, he's a Hall of Famer. Well, who I was talking to was Pat Kelly from Richmond, one of Jim Kelly's brothers. Anyways, another guy in the group. We're all about the same age except Jim. I think he's younger, quite a bit younger than us. But the other guy that was there, I had a jacket on with a Marine Corps emblem on the back, and he says, "When you're in the Marines," and I told him when. I was in Vietnam. Yeah, we were both in the Marines and in Vietnam about the same time.
Really?
So anyways, we all got shooting the breeze and everything. So when we got into Denver, Jim Kelly invited me to lunch, and he took us all out to lunch. We had a nice lunch, and
There's a history there with Jim Kelly. There's a history with his family. And
Yeah, well, he married a girl, Jill Wagoner, from Attica, and I had a drugstore in Attica for 16 years. I worked for the fellow for 6, and then I owned it myself for another 10. And I took care of his family. They're the Wagoners. It's Jerry and Jackie Wagoner, and then Jill was their daughter. As a matter of fact, and Jim Kelly married Jill, their daughter. Matter of fact, my daughter, Mary Jean, and Jill were in Notre Dame High School together.
Really?
So it's kind of interesting. I never really had talked to Jim Kelly that much before. I'd seen him, and at different events and like that. But nice guy, very, kind of laid back, and of course we're, both hunters, we're all hunters, so that's kind of unusual. But I'll tell you another thing too. We're sitting at the little Mexican restaurant in Denver. And we look over, and who's sitting at the bar? Not 10 feet from us? Celine Dion.
Really?
So
you got some
you just
celebrity.
never know what you're going to see when you're traveling.
You got some star power out there.
Yeah. Well, Denver. Yeah. A couple years ago, we stayed at Telluride. No, about 10 years ago, we were at Telluride, having dinner. I look up, and here's Cindy Crawford walking by, and I went over and introduced myself to her, and she walked over our table and met the guys. We were all hunting. We all looked about like this. She's very nice, very friendly. I don't know who she's having dinner with, but when she got done with dinner, she walked over our table and said goodnight to us all and everything.
Nice.
So I love Colorado. I mean, just a beautiful,
Sounds like you
state.
had quite a trip.
Yeah.
You probably didn't miss Albany too much, did you?
I didn't miss Albany too much. But I wanted to do this program this time, Ted, because it is hunting season back home. I'm bow hunting right now. Then I think on the 19th is Saturday, the gun season opens up, in our county for deer. Sunday morning I'll be in a duck blind, and I'll be duck hunting with my black lab.
Wow. I've
So
never been. What's that? That's gotta
duck
be
hunting's a
fun.
lot of fun. I mean, you bring a big thermos of coffee and stuff and everything, and you should set your decoys out, get out there real early, and kind of call the ducks in, and it's just a lot of fun. They come in waves. You have to have a federal duck stamp that you get at the post office. You have to use steel shot now because the ducks and the waterfowl were eating the lead pellets, and that was causing lead poisoning. And the steel, of course, will rust and disintegrate over time. And you have to have a plug in your gun. You can't have any more than 3 rounds in the gun. But it's a lot of fun. We got a lot of wood duck on my property. Got some mallards and stuff like that. So it's a lot of, it's a lot of fun. I got a hunting partner that I'm going to go with, younger guy.
Yeah, sure. That's a lot of fun. Now, what shotgun? What
Well, I'm
gauge?
using a Browning.
Yeah.
I've got a Browning, Belgian Browning. It's an older one, not an A-bolt. I do have an A-bolt that I use for slug hunting up in Genesee County, because they don't have a rifle hunting season there, and I don't think they will, because it's too flat there. But yeah, I have a Belgian Browning. Then I have my father, who passed away about a year and a half ago. I have his old Savage too, with old poly choke on it.
Sure.
I've got a lot of long guns. A few pistols, and of course, I don't know. I have to keep saying this because there may be people saying this that have never seen this before. Of course, I'm an A+ rated NRA member here in the state assembly. I think there's only 2 of us with an A+ rating, but I debate the anti-gun bills on the floor of the state assembly, and I promote a lot of legislation that's pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment.
Well, it's good to have you, because there are many in the assembly.
I'm probably the only, Ted, I bet you I'm probably the only legislator in New York State with a trapper's license.
You're a true sportsman.
Well, I enjoy it. I mean,
riverboat captain. You're licensed.
Yeah, I'm a
riverboat
charter boat captain. I actually got my captain's license back in the early '80s when charter boat fishing was first starting in Lake Ontario. And I was going out there fishing, and there were a few guys that preceded me. They were out there, fishing, and they would call me on the radio, and I'd be offshore someplace catching salmon and trout. And I said, geez, I can do this. So I went and took the captain's test, and I ran medicine man charters for almost 15 straight years. John Kidd, the punter for the Buffalo Bills, was a client of mine. I had a lot of folks down in Virginia and New Jersey and all over the eastern seaboard. The fellow owned Sorrento Cheese, which is a big company, was a client of mine. We did. I fished in the Pro-Am tournament the one year and placed 7th, and there was a lot of entries in it. I fished against Big John Downriggers, and another team from Sweden.
Really?
But yeah, I still maintain my captain's license. I'm licensed up to 200 gross tons. Anywhere 100 miles offshore in the ocean, and all the Great Lakes and inland waterways of the United States and all the coastal waterways.
Now, how often do you get a chance to go out and do that?
Well,
Probably not enough,
my boat, I have a 30-foot lures, and I just sent it down last year down to Florida, and I have a place down there on the Gulf, and we go out and we fish for kingfish and bottom fish for grouper and little tarpon fishing and like that. So I have another captain friend down there that takes care of the boat for me, because I can't get down there all the time.
I've been salmon fishing a couple of times. What's a keeper? King salmon? You have to catch
king salmon. Usually the average king salmon runs 23, 24, 25 pounds. I have about 10 or 15 salmon over 40 pounds I caught on Lake Ontario each year. I have a 43-pound king salmon.
I wouldn't know what to do if I caught something that big.
I caught on my charter boat. It's mounted. It's in my office. I mean, my office in Warsaw, folks, you got to stop. We're going to have an open house, but if you come into my office in Warsaw, you'll find there's a pheasant on the wall. There's a nice buck, 11-point buck with drop tines that I killed a while ago. I showed you a picture of my elk. My elk's on the wall on there now. I've got a nice big 9-point that I killed down in Pennsylvania. A 7-pound brown trout's on the wall. It kind of reflects what I do.
That's it.
And the people in my district. A lot of hunters.
Very nice.
And of course, my labs, pictures of labs and stuff and all that.
Very nice. Well, I'm glad you had a good time. It's nice having you back.
Oh, it was great. It was great.
It's a good look, by the way.
Well, thank you. I don't know how long I'll keep this, but
I may try it. Who knows? If you want to get in touch with Dan Burling, you can do that. Ring him at his district office, and that number right in front of you at 786-0180. Assemblyman Burling, nice to see you.
That was a great show. We had a good time. Hope you folks enjoyed it.
Definitely.
No politics this time.
That's right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon. I'm Ted Flint.